Hi, everyone. Welcome back to PMsquare live stream here. Uh, if you were in our last Amazon Q live stream, we did the overview of Amazon Q, how it was, how it's evolved over the years, and um, how the different tiering and levels, whether business or developer. Today, we wanted to do a deeper dive into the developer side of Amazon Q. See how we've been using it, especially with a number of our projects, and how we see it being used in the market. So if you don't remember, or if you weren't here for the last Q stream we did, I'm Chris Chapman. I'm Cloud Practice Lead at PMsquare, and here I'm joined by Rupak. Rupak, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Chris, and good morning, good afternoon to everyone listening, watching to us. My name is Rupak Gautam. I am a solution architect here at PMsquare. It's been a year, a little over a year. I'm with PMsquare. I focus predominantly on data analytics and generative BI side.
Great. We'll dive into it. I know we have a lot we want to get through.
Right.
So, Rupak, do you want to give a quick? So I mentioned there are different flavors of Q depending on how you want to use it. If you want to use it more as a conversational chatbot for users in your organization, or something more specific like developers. So do you want to give a just brief overview of developer and how it's positioned in the market today?
Right. So Q for developers, right? So how it's been utilized and how it's pushed in the market is basically it's kind of like you can use in different flavors. One is you can integrate it with your IDEs and have a chat-like conversations where it gives you more high-level overview of what applications are you looking into and how you can modernize your applications. It helps you with your code assistance. It helps you with high level of um, working into your database schemas. If you want to deep a little bit more deeper, if that's somewhere you can leverage or integrate your AWS services to create generative SQLs with Redshift. Also, you can also use network reachability and configure your troubleshoot your networks or VPC connections with Amazon Q. So there are different flavors. What we use here at PMsquare is mostly the developer from the developer side is mostly from leveraging or integrating it from the IDEs and help us streamline or automate most of our tedious work and optimize our codes that we mostly use in data engineering side.
Right. And so this, I know that this position itself is something with like GitHub Copilot, and so the goal, just I know when you talk about Gen AI, and especially there's a lot of buzz around how well the models do with generating code. So this is something I can sit down and say, Amazon Q, make me a React front end with these requirements. Will it just from start to finish build that for me?
It's absolutely. So it also, I mean, so to give you a high level, a little bit more detail is it depends on like a prompt is very important, but then again it creates code snippets or it creates like a whole application. But having said that, an extra set of eyes is very important, so you need to do lots of testings. But yes, from a high level, generating like a framework or a skeleton, it is pretty straightforward, and it depends from your prompt to prompt. But like I said, it is possible, and yeah, that is something that we have been practicing here at PMsquare also.
Yeah, it's very powerful stuff, and I know having worked with it, what we're seeing, it's not going to produce the complete code ready artifact, but it's going to get you really close. Whether it's a full application or even just smaller component, we're seeing 20, 30, 40% improvement of commits, the speed to complete tasks, more sprint points being completed. So there's a whole host of metrics that we can look where we're getting benefit from leveraging these kinds of tools in our development streams.
Right. Think about from a junior developer perspective, Chris. Having Q handy on your side saves you tons amount of time, right? So that time is something that we can utilize either testing or making this application more robust, scalable, which also Q can help us do there. So I mean, it's a very win-win situation, I think, for someone who is just starting to write some application codes in any platform, be it Java, Python, right? So it helps them with the level of Q. It helps them understand what's the best practices that they can do, and also in this at the same time, it speeds up the application or the development process.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned the junior developer, which is important, but also the extension of that is the senior developer, where a lot of our projects, we'll have seniors providing guidance. There's less guidance now that needs to be done. There's less going to the senior, like, hey, how do I do this? I'm getting this error. What do I need to do? How should I approach this? You go to something like Q Developer first, and that takes that pressure off of the senior developer, who can actually spend time on their work and their value add, rather than just mentoring, which is a huge time save in of itself. So, okay, well, you want to jump into it?
Sure, absolutely.
All right,
let's do it. All right, so let's talk about how we at PMsquare and overall what I've seen with what we have seen as Q has helped enhance software development process with AWS, and not only with AWS, but then other platform as well, right? So let's start with talking about the application management. So with the leverage of Q, with utilizing Q, it helps ensuring applications are secure, scalable, and available, right? So Q can basically analyze your code and your infrastructures configurations to identify potential threats or security vulnerabilities, and it suggests fixes. And these are things that we'll show also in demos, but this is what Q can help you with, right? Code optimization. I know we've been talking about code optimization from the earlier days when we did the Q for Business also. So it helps you accelerate in your code writings with your natural language prompt, right? So you can basically either create a code snippet or the entire applications that we talked about earlier. It helps you debug and you upgrade your debugging your codes. For example, if it is not optimized properly, there are lots of suggestions that basically you can ask Q to help you debug and optimize it and upgrading your codes, right? So you can basically either it's your .NET or Java applications or other applications as well. It's written on .NET or Java. That what I've seen with Java is basically you can upgrade Java that's written in 1.8 to 1.7, 1.17. So basically you can also, it's in a very simple, straightforward natural language commands, you can actually upgrade your Java applications and other applications as well. It also has this AWS capabilities where we can actually explore new features and architected solutions, right? So basically what does that mean is utilizing Q, you can actually create architecture, basically asking which services to use, what are the best practices. And what we have done here at PMsquare is one of our project is, for example, we have used a serverless application data pipeline project, and we basically asked after a certain integration, we ask you what is the services that were required for creating this data pipeline. So it for a serverless application. So basically, it suggested S3, it suggested Lambda functions, right? It suggested Athena. So these are the suggestion it gives you, and then also provides you how you can implement it, what are the best practices, which programming language, or for example, we use Python here at PMsquare mostly. So it suggests how you can leverage Python with Lambda. So those are the suggestions and capabilities that Q also has with AWS. One other thing that I also want to talk about is the software development lifecycle reimagination. It has helped us creating with the AI assisted code generation. It has helped us to transform the entire software development process more efficiently. Help us to automated testing, which we have also leveraged with Glue, basically creating test scripts. So that it makes sure that our test scripts, based on our test scripts, the codes that we have written are pretty much neat and it is ready for production. And also it has provided a solution to do the CI/CD optimizations, right? So how we can leverage GitHub Actions, how we can use GitHub Actions to do the seamless CI/CD integrations. So these are the capabilities, reimagination management or optimization that we have use leveraging Q in AWS in almost daily basis.
Yeah, that last one I think is really key, right? Being able to automate creating
Yep.
of like the test cases, those they
Right.
can be time consuming to make. And even if you've got a handful of junior devs going through and doing that, it's still time away from actual software delivery, and being able to offload that and really expedite that is, I know, has been really key, and how we think about our workflows with that.
Exactly. I mean, from the CI/CD perspective, see how is it with the implementing CI/CD. It has been very smooth for us here at PMsquare, and with the client that we have implemented this project with, right? So earlier, it was the pain point was you when there was no CI/CD implemented, you test your code, everything was mostly manual, right? But with the implementation of CI/CD, along with the help of Amazon Q, which helped us create all these YAML files for GitHub Actions workflow, and the test scripts and everything is very seamless. And we have actually been very productive and have saved lots of amount of time for our customers. And it's also easier to teach how to leverage Q for them, and also implement this in the whole production environment. Yep. Uh, Before we jump into some features of Amazon Q, the other thing that I want to talk about a little bit is before these features were not available, right? There were the customer challenges. What are the customer challenges, right? So one we have seen is the security vulnerability scanning, which is what Q offers. But before that, with the legacy applications, because of the outdated security protocols, it was very prone to the susceptible to it was very prone to breaches, right? So manual modernization process with uh, the legacy application will leave lots of gaps in security compliances, and also lack of automated security checks increases the risk of vulnerability. The other pain point was with the lack of automation, and also developer productivity, because you'll spend lots of amount of time on repetitive tasks, low value tasks that could actually be automated. And also we'll talk about the legacy application, but mostly let's see. I mean, for example, a COBOL application is pretty there will be very less people who would have this expertise on COBOL applications, right? So lack of in-house expertise and transferring this application into modern applications, modernized application, leveraging different programming language. So there would be lack of in-house expertise. So these were the customer pain point that we have identified, and based on this, how we have integrated Q to address all this pain point is using the features of Amazon Q. Right. Um, so some of the things that I would like to showcase, we not be able to jump into all of the features, but one is generative SQL, which is basically you can use Amazon Q and integrate it with Redshift Spectrum that we talked about earlier. And this feature, what helps is it boosts users' productivity by quickly generating queries tailored to their data warehouses and allowing them to extract insight more efficiently, right? So meaning, let's say you have item tables where you have lots of item tables in your Redshift where you have lots of items available. For example, let's say you're working in a manufacturing business, or you're in a field, and you are looking for particular items. You can actually use your natural language and ask what was my revenue for this particular item in last quarter. It will be more specific. It will give you the sequels based on your natural language with the necessary joins, that is that how you can with the necessary joins that you need, with basically all the tables that are available. Now, you'll ask me what is the difference between this and a normal other chat GPTs, or there are other applications out there. They will not know what your schema looks like, right? But the Amazon Q, because it's tailored to your data warehouse, it knows your schemas, it knows your joins, it knows your um, uh, primary keys, so it would be more efficient, and it will give you the accurate data and accurate sequels.
Yeah, that's a lot of, I think, what we'll see, and especially when we talk about the integration with the with AWS infrastructure, the tools built by the first party, obviously they're going to have tighter integrations than
Right.
trying to bolt on ChatGPT or something else. Excuse me. And that's really powerful, especially on the data side. You're joining us and worked with us in the past, probably something data related, and most clients that I've worked with are aspirationally want to have a data catalog, and they may have one, but typically it lapses because it's documentation. No one ever wants to keep documentation, or data dictionary. And so just being able to use, as you described, use natural language to be able to ask that and have it traverse the schemas and structures to get you there of what you want to need is hugely valuable. I mean, it's not hard for an experience, some experience with the data and data engineering to be able to go through and piece it all together. But yeah, it's very powerful, and I'm sure you're going to get to some of the other hooks that it has within the rest of the AWS infrastructure.
It is very powerful. The next one that I like to briefly highlight is the network reachability, right? So for example, let's say earlier, if I'm not able to connect to my EC2 instance that is hosted on a private network or even in a public network, and then there are some of the security groups that I've not configured properly, what I have to do is I have to go in my inbound rules, outbound rules, have that, if I cannot SSH into the EC2 instance, I have to apply the rules, have that port open with the IP addresses, right? So that's kind of like a tedious process, and you need to know a little bit very detailed about how this networking works. But then with the leverage of Q, what you can do is you can basically ask questions like why am I not able to SSH into my instance? It'll give you the details. It'll give you what needs to be done. It will also show you a security groups that needs to be configured, and also help you debug and add the port so that you can actually log into your SSH server. The other part, the SSH into your server, right? So the other part is security, the vulnerability scanning. We know how important it is to have our codes pretty secured, because it is very prone, if it's not secured, it's very prone to being hacked. Like if there is SQL injection or your the username passwords are exposed, it's very prone to be hacked or being exposed, right? So with the features that Amazon Q offers, is with the scanning, it helps you to identify what is missing and what is wrong with, not wrong, I would not say wrong, but what is missing in your code, and it gives you suggestions and help you optimize or refactor that code to follow the best practices related to security. So this is what I was talking about earlier, Chris. Like if I'm not able to SSH into my EC2 instance, I ask questions like, why am I not able to SSH into my instance? And this is basically, it'll give you the whole details on what needs to be done. And then you can see there, you have the rules are not being, security groups has not been applied. So you click there, and basically you can change your inbound rules, outbound rules, and optimize or do the change your security rules, and basically add your SSH port number 22 for this, and then actually log into your server.
Yep. And this goes back to the integration with the larger AWS ecosystem. You can say, and so the reachability tool that's in EC2 now, obviously baked here into Q, which is really useful, especially for a developer. this is it's a simple one, but not every developer is going to be versed in ins and outs of AWS networking security groups. So what this can do is, hey, why can't the load balancer talk with our ECS cluster?
Right.
This can map it out very clearly. They can show that, and you can see there you have the links to all the resources. So immediately you can take action. It's not just open port 443 somewhere, but you've got here. This is where you go to take the action. So it's that speeding of we talked at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's speeding everyone up, making everyone more efficient and faster by getting them the information they need right away.
Correct. So there is one more slide I'll just touch high level, and then we can jump into some of what we have. Is the code transformation. As I said in previous slides, it helps you accelerate your application modernization. It helps you automate your updates. Like I said, like your Java, it's if it's in 0.8, it helps you upgrade into 1.7, or also in .NET, right? So basically, it also reduce the technical debt and helps you cost savings and operational efficiencies, and also help you gain competitive advantages. I know, Chris, you've been asking, and you've been also looking into this, like where we have updating or upgrading our application from Java, or any application that is in any other programming, written in any other programming language. So this is kind of a solution that we were able to find and work into, right? So I think most of the viewers also would like to understand how easier it is with the help of Q to update your application that's either written in Java or in .NET or any other programming language that it supports.
Definitely. Will you want to jump into it and show them?
I have something with COBOL that I can show, and I have few others that I will share, and I will see.
All right. I will go ahead and stop sharing. Show is yours.
Sure. You can see my screen.
We can see it.
Awesome. So let's start firstly with the COBOL code, and I am very much not familiar with COBOL, so this is where it'll be very helpful for me, right? So basically, Q is already integrated, and I'm not familiar about COBOL, but basically, what this code I know because I've been looking into this is basically it's working on the database side. So basically, what we can do is so basically, first it does is what it'll tell you what the code is. It's basically connecting with a database and trying to fetch some data. But now I know what the legacy application is about with this code. But then because I'm not familiar with COBOL, I want to have this transform into something familiar or in a modern application perspective, from a modernizing application perspective. So what I can do is so basically now it converts into Python, which is easier for me to read. It's importing all the libraries, it's creating the class, it's creating the functions with all the credentials. It is also following the best practices with try-catch mechanism, and it's giving me all the Python code that I can execute equivalent to COBOL, and then basically use it and in the modernized application format. So this is how easy you can do, or you can convert a COBOL application into Python. I know there are lots of caveat with this, but then from a high level, we have to. I mean, if there are lots of man, there will be lots of testing, of course, because but that will give you a skeleton that I talked about earlier, right? So basically converting which from a legacy application, which is very difficult to understand from a developer perspective from me, for example, but it's very easier now. Now it's been converted. I can modify this code, tweak this code to tailor my requirement.
Right. I mean, you're the perfect use case, right? Like, I don't know COBOL. I don't know what this is doing.
Right,
And it's because they're, you look at colleges across the country, they don't have COBOL courses, they don't have mainframe courses.
right,
Most students coming out, they're going to know Python and
right,
SQL, some kind
exactly.
of JavaScript, React, something like that. Yeah, they're not going to know this. And at least in my career, I've run into these where you have these legacy mainframes, and you mentioned no one at the company knows how or there's no one there to maintain them.
Right,
Mostly because all those people have retired. They've left the company not through another job, but they've like retired.
exactly.
So that skill set is just non-existent. But
Right,
and so the cost to modernize this, even though we talk with companies and like they know it's a risk, they know they're either still paying licensing, or that it's this huge bottleneck, it's not performant. Laundry list of pain points, but you have to get all these people trained up in COBOL just so they can move it to something else. It's just a huge project. It can span in the years. But now with this, Java, even if that's not quite what it needs to be, it's a heck of a lot closer than having to have a whole team learn COBOL just so they can move it into another language. So I mean, all those. I'm just thinking the number of clients that have been out there, and there are many of them that are stuck with these legacy systems. They don't that hurdle is gone, right?
right, exactly.
They can get to a working state in a modern language very, very quickly, and then just about optimizing that new code.
Exactly.
And even if it didn't just spit out the Python for you, just explaining like, hey, this is what it's supposed to do,
Right, right,
is also a huge barrier, because now that developer knows, okay, this is the functionality of this module. This is basically what it needs to do. So even if they were to author it net new, at least they know they have a starting point and aren't trying to scratch their head like, what are all these things? Where is this coming from?
exactly.
So
No,
yeah,
this
this is a huge time save.
it is absolutely. And then like you said, right, just to understand what this tech stack is, and just to, even if you don't understand the language itself, just having it been explained gives you lots of ideas, and also saves you time and like tremendously, so that after that it's basically like you said, optimizing code, which deciding which code to convert it into, and then from there it'll be more of a R&D process, but just to understand how this code works is a huge gain. The next one that I have is, let's do this. So basically, I know this code is prone to error, because not the error, but it's not a best practices, because I've not parameterized my query here. So it'll give me, and it's very prone to the SQL injection. So once I write a code, for example, I want to make sure that it is following the best practices. Leveraging Amazon Q, what I can do is I can come here and I can run a project scan. It'll take some time. Well, being is done there, it'll give you what is the issue, and also give you a suggestion, which is, I think, very handy for me, and someone who is working on any kind of programming language, right, to understand what's going on. And instead of, like back in the days, instead of looking into Stack Overflow and finding out the solutions, or just thinking about solutions, if
So this is the security vulnerability specifically.
yes.
Okay.
So if you look into here, there are two. One is AWS credential log, and then SQL injection, which is basically for this code, and then for this code, which is where my AWS credentials are pretty much opened. So let's look into SQLite first. So SQLite.py, this is where the SQL injection issue has been um, raised. So you come here, it shows this, highlight this. And it'll give you the whole explanation what's going on, right? This is so handy.
Yeah, that is super. So then, does it stop there? Will it give you
Solution?
a corrected copy of your code?
Yes, it does. So basically, you come here. Explain, and then it should also give you correct this code. I'm not sure why it's not showing. It happens.
Wouldn't be a demo if it went
Yes,
smoothly.
but then there should be one option right here where it says correct your code when you click here, or yeah, right
But
here.
even no, that's okay. But this goes back to the earlier conversation we had, right? Helping those junior devs with best practice. You, more senior, this
Right.
wouldn't be how I would do it. Junior dev just wanted to push stuff through, or just may not know.
Right.
May try to cut a corner. Here, I would flag it for them, and it would give them immediately
Exactly.
what would need to be corrected. So, yeah, just all about more efficiently writing better code.
Right. Exactly. And then if you click here, also it offers you a quick fix with the view details and Q explain. So you click here, you get the details, and then explain, and then on your IDs, it'll give you all the best practices or quick solutions as well. Right. So these are for the credentials and for your SQL injection, because if there is no it says parameterize your query. That's pretty much the best practices that we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Give you all the code as well once you click here. So that's pretty much from the security side. Another thing that I want to talk about, I know we're a little bit out. So earlier I mentioned that we have a data pipeline project, right? Where we are using Glue. This is basically my glue script. Basically, it's just using connecting to a database from RDS and converting the data, getting the data and converting it into Parquet. So before I want to make sure that the script is good, we have to have a unit test or a script test script, basically, to make sure that the credentials, the syntax, everything is good. So what I can say is generate unit test script for my SQL extraction.py file. So basically, it just creates you a test script, which is very handy, which I have it here with all the script, right? So now if I want to make sure, so as a developer, what I have to do is just have that script, of course, modify as your requirement. I'll give you this all script, modify your require as you required, and then before you deploy it into production, you can come here and just test your scripts, which makes sure that everything is passed, which helps me save tons of time, and also make sure that my scripts are pretty neat to deploy into production.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's another thing. Generating those. It's all needed. Generating the test scripts needs to be done. It needs to be run. It needs to be tested and validated. But it's
Right.
also nothing anyone wants to do. That's
Right.
not the glamorous part. It's not the fun part. But this, yeah, I mean, that was so quick to get that up and
Yep.
and to not just build it but run it, and just in a few seconds. So
Right.
yeah, it's really powerful. And I mean, yeah, it's like I said, the efficiencies we've seen with our own teams is related to being able to automate a lot of this low hanging fruit, and this, undifferentiated work of just testing and validating or question answering. It's been a huge boon for us.
It has been, Chris, and you've been thoroughly involved in this process, right?
Yeah.
So you understand this. But what we also did was on top of this, it helped us create CI/CD suggestions with how to integrate our test scripts and our main script into our CI/CD pipelines by creating some YAML files and providing suggestions, right? So that has been very helpful and which has helped us optimize time, optimize developers' time, of course, and also smooth the whole CI/CD implementation process.
Yep.
I think that is all I have from the demo perspective. I know we are a little bit over time, but there are what I think is going to be very helpful for our team and for everyone out there is how we can leverage Amazon Q developers in this Amazon UI itself. And it's so basically it helps you. That is where from a networking perspective, it helps you optimum not optimize also optimize, but also helps you troubleshoot lots of your networking issues or like the load balancer connectivity that you earlier
Mhm.
talked about. So that is something that our team is also working on and looking forward to. Maybe that's something that we can work on in the next session. But um, with this, I think it has been so much helpful, so much powerful, and easier to understand. For example, I know some of the codes, if I don't understand, it's so much easier just to have someone answer the questions that I ask in a very tailored manner and give me all the necessary information, which helps me or my team to optimize and also write a neater and better code.
Yep. Right. Well, thanks, Rupak. This was super useful. Always, I've seen a lot of this, but it's always interesting to see it in action.
Yep.
It's always powerful to see, and always like playing with the new tools. It's always fun. So, thank you for walking us through this, and for everyone, thank you for joining and hanging with us over your lunch. Um, if you found this useful, please feel to. We have a number of these style kind of videos on our YouTube channel, so please check those out. If you need more information, you can visit our website as well. We're happy to connect with you there. So, with that, we will say goodbye and talk to you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks, everyone.